don't leave me! Peter!
A loud crack split the night, and dust rained from the ceiling. She clutched her belly and whispered, "Peter, please don't leave me here." But he did. He turned away, buttoning his suit jacket like nothing was happening. Outside, the ground trembled. The mansion's old foundation had started to give way. Why would a billionaire walk out on his pregnant wife, knowing the house was collapsing behind him? Was this greed, hate, or something darker? As the chandelier crashed inches from her feet, she screamed his name one last time. And that's where her story truly began. Before we dive deeper, please, if you're listening to this right now, I want to prove my mom wrong. She said I can't even reach 5,000 subscribers. Help me show her that stories like this matter. Subscribe to King's Folklore, and let's keep breathing life into tales that refuse to die. The walls groaned like they were alive. Dust swirled around the grand hall of the mansion, a place that had once been Anna's dream. Now it was a nightmare. She pressed a trembling hand against her stomach, feeling the tiny flutter of life inside her. Her baby, her only anchor. Peter stood at the far end of the hallway, checking his watch as if the mansion's groans and shifting floorboards were just background noise. His phone buzzed, Lila's name flashing again, but Anna didn't need to see it. She knew. "Peter, what are you doing?" she asked, her voice cracking like glass. He didn't answer. He didn't move. And then the first floor shifted beneath him. A beam snapped. A loud crash echoed, making the crystal chandeliers sway violently above their heads. Anna stumbled backward, her heels scraping against the marble, and realized with horror that the mansion itself was failing. "Get out of here!" she shouted, panic burning through her chest. Peter just smirked. "It's just a little structural damage, Anna. Don't overreact." Overreact? The floor beneath her gave a sickening crack. Dust filled the air, and the walls trembled like they might cave in at any second. She grabbed the nearest railing, but it wobbled. Fear clawed at her throat. He knew this was coming. He had to. Her mind raced. All those late-night calls, secret texts, whispers of a mistress. It all led here. Betrayal had a face, and it was the man she had once called husband. Outside, rain began to patter against the shattered windows. The storm mirrored her chaos. She looked for the exit, but the main hallway was already blocked by falling debris. A massive bookshelf tumbled down behind her with a thunderous crash, sending clouds of dust into the air. Her breath caught. Her hands shook. Her baby kicked, a reminder that she couldn't give up, no matter how hopeless it felt. Suddenly, a shadow moved near the collapsing foyer. A man in a hard hat and reflective vest appeared, eyes scanning the instability with precision. "You okay?" he called over the noise, his voice calm but urgent. Anna's voice trembled as she gasped. "I can't. He left me here." "Don't worry. I've got you," he said, extending a hand. Her mind screamed, "Why now?" But instinct overpowered doubt. She grabbed his hand, and together they navigated the maze of debris, slipping past beams that threatened to drop at any moment. Every step was a gamble. The mansion groaned, as if mocking her fear, threatening to swallow her whole. Peter appeared at the far balcony, watching her escape with the stranger. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of annoyance and indifference. Anna felt rage flare inside her. He could have saved me. He chose not to. The stranger guided her through a side passage. Rainwater pooled along the floor as cracks widened in the walls. Each step was treacherous. "Stay close to me," he instructed, and she obeyed, her fear mixing with a strange, growing trust. A final wall collapsed behind them, sending a shower of dust and brick into the hallway. Anna barely had time to scream before the stranger pulled her forward, out of harm's way, and into the stormy night. Once they were safely outside, she sank to the wet grass, shaking, heart racing. Who are you?" she asked. He smiled faintly, brushing mud from his vest. "Someone who knows what it means to protect life. Let's get you somewhere safe." For the first time that night, Anna felt a spark of hope. The world she had known was gone, but maybe, just maybe, something new could begin. Her heart still ached for betrayal, but survival demanded focus. "What would you do if this happened to you?" she whispered, more to herself than anyone else did. "Have you ever trusted someone this much and been proven right?" As the rain soaked her hair and clothes, she realized that the night's terror had revealed more than danger. It had exposed the truth. Peter had abandoned her, but life had other plans. And somewhere between fear and chaos, a hero had appeared. Anna pulled her jacket tighter around her, feeling her baby kick again, a small but fierce reminder that hope wasn't lost. She looked back at the ruins of the mansion, her anger simmering, her resolve hardening. Peter's betrayal was just the beginning of a story that she was determined to survive and maybe even rewrite. Anna's teeth chattered, not just from the cold rain, but from the adrenaline that still raced through her veins. The stranger, Kelvin, as he finally introduced himself, led her to the edge of a small, partially covered construction site. The flickering lights from machinery illuminated his face, revealing eyes that were steady, calm, and somehow reassuring. "You're safe for now," he said. "We need to keep moving before the next collapse." Anna shivered. I can't believe he did this. My husband, he left me. He knew." Her voice broke. "And the baby," Kelvin placed a firm, protective hand on her shoulder. "Your baby's safe because you're still alive. That's what matters. Right now, nothing else counts." For the first time in hours, Anna felt a flicker of trust. She noticed the way he moved, careful, calculated, not a trace of ego. Unlike Peter, who had abandoned her without a second thought, Kelvin's every action screamed responsibility. As they navigated through the puddles and jagged debris, Anna glanced back at the mansion. Half of it had collapsed into a heap of splintered wood and concrete, smoke rising from broken pipes. Peter's silhouette was still visible on the far balcony, watching. He didn't move to help. He just watched. Her stomach churned. Why would someone like him do this?" she asked aloud. Kelvin shook his head. "Some people protect themselves, not the people they love. Anna, you deserve better than that." They finally reached a small, run-down shed that Kelvin used as a makeshift office at the construction site. Inside, he handed her a dry blanket and a cup of warm tea. The smell of rain and wet earth clung to both of them. But at least here, she could breathe. "Peter's power, it's not just money, is it?" Anna asked, curling the blanket around her. "It's control. He thinks he can manipulate everyone." Kelvin nodded grimly. "And sometimes, people like him forget that power is fragile. Anna, you survived the collapse. That's proof that control isn't everything." Her eyes widened. "But what if he comes for me? Or the baby?" Kelvin's gaze hardened, unwavering. "Then we make sure he can't. I've seen men like him before. They underestimate people they think are powerless. That's their mistake." The rain pattered against the shed's tin roof, filling the silence with a rhythmic beat. Anna sipped her tea, feeling her body begin to thaw. Despite the fear, despite Peter's betrayal, something about Kelvin gave her hope. A spark she thought had been extinguished was slowly returning. "And you just happen to be here?" she asked, a faint trace of skepticism in her voice. Kelvin smiled slightly, almost sheepishly. "I work on this site every night. Saw smoke, heard the cracking. I don't know why, but something told me to check. Guess fate's weird like that." Anna laughed quietly, despite herself. "Fate? Or karma catching up?" He chuckled, and the sound was a relief, like a small sun breaking through the storm clouds. "Maybe both. But what matters is what we do next." Anna nodded. "What do we do next?" Kelvin pulled out his phone and showed her a series of images. CCTV from nearby streets. Photos of Peter leaving the mansion moments before it started collapsing. "Evidence," he said simply. "We can't rely on rumors. We need proof. That's the only way he can't hurt you, or anyone else, again." Anna's breath caught. You think this can work?" Kelvin's eyes met hers, calm but resolute. "I know it can. You survived a collapsing mansion. You survived him. That's more than most can say. Now it's time to survive justice." She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the tea seep into her bones. Her body still trembled, but her mind was sharpening. Peter's betrayal, once terrifying, was starting to feel like an opportunity, a chance to reclaim control, to protect her child, and to expose the truth. Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing away the dust of the collapsed mansion. Inside, a new alliance was forming, born not of convenience, but of mutual determination. Anna's lips curved into a small, determined smile. Let's make sure he never hurts anyone like this again. Kelvin nodded. We will. Together. And in that moment, Anna realized something crucial. Survival wasn't just about escaping the collapse. It was about rising from it, stronger, wiser, and unbroken. What would you do if someone you trusted abandoned you like that? She whispered, almost to herself. Would you run or fight back? Anna was choosing to fight. The sun broke through the storm clouds the next morning, casting a pale, determined light across the ruins of the mansion. Anna stood on the edge of the collapsed foundation, Kelvin beside her, holding the folder of evidence he had collected. Photos, videos, timestamps, everything Peter had tried to hide was here. I can't believe it, Anna murmured, staring at the wreckage. All this, and he still thinks he can control the narrative. Kelvin's eyes were sharp. Power like his only lasts until someone shows the truth. They approached the temporary police checkpoint Kelvin had contacted overnight. Anna's hands trembled, but not from fear. This was the moment she had been waiting for. A chance to confront Peter not just as a betrayed wife, but as a survivor demanding justice. Peter arrived shortly after, his limousine pulling up with the polished arrogance only a billionaire could carry. Lila leaned over, whispering in his ear, but Peter barely noticed. His gaze was fixed on Anna, as if expecting fear to shrink her into nothing. Anna squared her shoulders, clutching the folder of evidence. Peter, she called out, her voice steady. We need to talk. Outside the mansion ruins. All of it. Everything you try to hide, it's all here. Peter's smirk faltered. What are you talking about? Kelvin stepped forward, blocking the path to Anna. We're talking about truth. The truth that you abandoned your pregnant wife in a collapsing house. The truth you tried to cover up. The truth everyone deserves to know. Peter's hand twitched toward his phone, presumably to call someone, but Kelvin's presence was enough to halt him. Anna opened the folder, showing the CCTV footage of Peter walking away while the mansion groaned behind her. The images of Lila laughing with him, text messages proving premeditation, timestamps of Peter's orchestrated escape. The evidence was undeniable. The air was heavy, charged with a mixture of tension and release. Peter's face paled as officers who had arrived to investigate the collapse stepped forward, reviewing the materials Anna and Kelvin had provided. Attempted endangerment, one officer said grimly. And you have witnesses. This is serious. Lila's eyes widened, panic flickering across her face. Peter, what are we going to do? Peter's arrogance cracked. The billionaire who had once walked away from a collapsing mansion and a pregnant wife now realized that power meant nothing without proof. His empire of intimidation was crumbling around him, not from wealth, but from the courage of a woman he had underestimated. Anna felt the weight lift from her shoulders. The adrenaline that had kept her alive during the night of terror now fueled her sense of justice. She glanced at Kelvin, gratitude shining in her eyes. I couldn't have done this without you. Kelvin shrugged modestly. You could have, but some battles are easier together. The officers moved in, asking questions, securing evidence. Peter and Lila were led away, their composure shattered, replaced with humiliation and fear. Anna stood tall, her baby kicking inside her, a living reminder of survival, resilience, and hope. What would you do if someone you trusted almost killed you? She whispered, feeling the warmth of the rising sun on her face. Would you run, or finally stand your ground? Anna had stood her ground. She had survived a collapsing mansion, a husband's betrayal, and a manipulative mistress. But more importantly, she had reclaimed her power. Kelvin placed a hand on her shoulder again, this time not as a protector, but as a friend who had witnessed her courage. You did it, he said quietly. You didn't just survive. You won. Anna smiled softly, a mix of relief and quiet triumph. No, she said, looking at the ruins. We won. And from now on, my child will know that life isn't about wealth or power or betrayal. It's about love, courage, and never giving up, even when the world collapses around you. As the dust settled and authorities began clearing the rubble, Anna allowed herself a deep, calm breath. She had been abandoned once, but she would never be broken. Not by Peter, not by betrayal, not by fear. The mansion may have fallen, but Anna's story, her hope, her fight, her baby, was rising stronger than ever. Anna sat on a small hill overlooking the ruins, rain now a gentle drizzle washing the debris away. Her baby kicked softly inside her, a living reminder that life always finds a way, even after betrayal and collapse. She thought of Peter, of Lila, and of the fear that had threatened to swallow her whole, and realized something profound. Survival isn't just about escaping danger. It's about standing tall, reclaiming your power, and protecting the ones you love. Courage and faith can rebuild even what seems destroyed. And sometimes, heroes appear where you least expect them. If this story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from King's Folklore. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway. We'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching. Moral of the story: even when the world crumbles, hope and courage can rebuild everything. Betrayal may wound, but love, faith, and resilience will always rise.